Today, we're going to be talking about mac and cheese. Well, April Fools. Oh wait, that's even a few days late. Goddamn. Well, we're going to involve something that starts with the word Mac. If you want a whole bunch of bullets spread into someone's way and has a good rate of fire, well, there's always that weapon. Today, we're going to be reviewing the MAC-10 SMG, one of the DLC weapons that you get with supply drops. The Military Armament Corporation Model 10, or commonly known as the MAC-10, was an American submachine pistol and was designed in 1964 and went into service in 1970. It was designed in a compact package for concealment, unlike most of the other submachine pistols or submachine guns, and it also had its own suppressor, the Psysonic suppressor, and when fired, will make the weapon as quiet as possible, and was one of the key selling points of the weapon. Due to the restrictions of suppressors for the Americans, it did not include the suppressor, and many countries were disappointed and were canceling their orders due to that. And due to its lack of accuracy and really big rate of fire, it wasn't much of a selling point. The weapon was only decently successful, only to be used in a handful of countries, and the weapon is still being used today since then. But the weapon for the DLC was originally supposed to be in Modern Warfare but was cut during mid-production, but it returns as a full automatic weapon within the SMG category. You have to unlock via by camos, camouflages, weapon kits, and a whole bunch of emblems and titles. Until then, you cannot unlock it unless you have all those unlocked. When it comes to damage, it is pretty poor. Next to the P90, with it you will have to kill within 4 to 5 shots, 3 in the head and 4 in the distance when it comes to the head. Your range is also pretty poor, with 13 meters to drop off, which is like somewhat of that of the Scorpion. But then it has the regular SMG dropout at 25 meters. Your penetration ability, however, is low, like all the other SMGs, except for that of the AK-74U. Rate of fire, however, is impressive, like all the other SMGs, but this one's a little bit more higher compared to that to the P90 and the M249 SAW. It has a good rate of fire of 937 rounds per minute, which means it's tied to the personal defense weapon and the light machine gun. But with double tap equipped, it is 1250 rounds per minute. Your hipfire, however, is low, like all the other SMGs in total. Recoil is low to moderate, but it can be very controllable. Even though it does have a little bit of jumpy recoil every now and then, you are going to be very accurate like a dead laser. Like the Scorpion, it can be very lethal within medium ranges. Your switch times, however, are a little bit quickie, at around 420 milliseconds down, and when going up, 800 milliseconds. Your speed, however, is about the same as most of the SMGs, except for the AK-74U at 100%. Magazine size, however, is going to be on par with most of the SMGs, at 30 rounds, and your starting supply is going to be on par with the assault rifles and SMGs, at 90 rounds in total. Your reload process, however, is going to be the same as the Scorpion and Mini Uzi, and even shares the Mini Uzi's reloading animation. It will have to be a 2.4 second tactical reload, and you do have to wait for the entire animation to stop completely in order to use the weapon. So that can be a bit of a problem, and with the rate of fire, it's going to be consuming as well. Our build with this weapon, we are going to be making it into a nice filled bullet hose, making the best rate of fire possible with the weapon, and even using it to a medium to close range. And we're going to be using stealth, speed, and a nice a little bit of supply. And for our first choice, we are going to be choosing the silencer as our attachment. Why the silencer? Well, the silencer will keep you off the minimap as much as possible without the use of a UAV. But also, you will lose a little bit of your effective range, but it's not going to be much of a problem due to the weapon having a low damage. And The weapon is pretty good even without the opticals, so it can be pretty effective even with those two ranges of medium and close. But maybe even an optical can work too if you're not used to them. And even the ACOG scope can work good as well due to the low recoil. It's just like the Scorpion when it comes to that regard. Vandalur will be our first perk choice, and will always have to be a big recommendation due to its continued top-ups. With the regular ammo, you are going to be running out of ammo mid-firefight or mid during a kill streak. So, this will be a pretty good idea, including if you want to go to a longer streak like the helicopter or even higher. It's not saying that there's going to be anything higher besides that, but you won't have to look into an MP5 or mini Uzi as much since they have the same cartridges. But with supply, you are going to be needing these top-ups regularly, and with Vandalur, it will make it very satisfying. Next up, double tap will increase your rate of fire to 1250 rounds per minute, about the same or almost the same as that of the semi-auto weapons. With this, you can only hold the trigger and you'll be spraying out a whole bunch of lead. But with this, you will also be able to kill people within a quick amount of time. And you don't have to worry about the recoil as well, as it will stay the same, like the Scorpion, the M16, or some of the other weapons included. It doesn't work with most of the other weapons. But do be warned, with double tap you do have to reload your weapon more often. But if you don't like that, and if you prefer more damage, then stopping power can also work too. And if you want more speed onto your reloads, sleight of hand is also a very good idea due to the long reloads. You do have to bear the long reloads, however, if you are going to have to use double tap. But it's a sacrifice if you're in cover and such. Lastly, to make it a little bit more powerful, we are going to be adding Deep Impact. It will increase your penetration ability much higher, and will be able to punch enemies through cover, especially when they're through sheets of metal or blocks of stone. But it can also be pretty good when it comes to hiding your enemies when they're dead. But it can be very time consuming too, and with the ammo that you'll have with Vandalur as well, you can do it non-stop, and can fill out enemies' positions before killing them off. The MAC-10 has a very fast rate of fire. Compare that to the P90 and the M249 saw. It also has a very quick time to kill, and has very low recoil, next to the Scorpion and to the P90 as well. It can also be effective when it comes to short to medium range due to its recoil. Not saying that it's going to be effective at medium ranges since you're going to have low damage, but it's still pretty good and can accomplish that, even in hardcore game modes. Like the mini Uzi and Scorpion, it does suffer from one big flaw. It has long reloads, and it can consume ammo fairly quickly, and after a few kills, you might be entirely empty, and that will be not good to your health. Switching your pistol can be a good time every now and then, but it's not going to save you from medium to long range encounters. It also has pretty poor range, unlike most of the SMGs. The only thing that has the worst range is the Scorpion. Yours is about the second worst. But it's also pretty bad when it comes to long ranges, and sometimes even medium ranges too, depending on what weapon you're facing. But overall, this is a best spray and pray weapon, even with the range, but you do have to keep an eye on your ammo count in order to be successful. Even though the MAC-10 isn't food, it'll no doubt melt anyone who stands in its way. So, if you're wanting to spend up some bounty, equip the MAC-10, and you'll turn your enemy into nothing more but Swiss cheese. Thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to like, favorite, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and be sure to look at my Facebook and Twitch page down below. And for our next episode, we are going to be continuing to our weapon guide, and we'll be reviewing the G36C Assault Rifle. Until then, GalacticStorm saying, keep charging, bitches.